Hello, thank you for joining. I completely forgot to set everything up, so here we go. We are live. We are there. Fantastic. So, welcome. Today we are going to be walking through, JSON resume. So let me walk you through this. JSON resume. Sorry about the light mode, dark mode, sudden switch, but here we go. So it's an open source initiative to create a JSON-based standard for resumes for developers, by developers. Basically, it's a JSON schema to say how to put together a resume, in effect. And I built this little PHP package over here, which allows you to build up your resume nice and simply, adding work history, education, skills, blah, blah, blah. You can see a complete example of a JSON resume for Mr. Spock, which I put together. All of the current features, the available components within it. It's got JSON LD transformation, exporting as Markdown, just because you might want to. But yeah, lots of stuff. Hey, thanks for tuning in, Mohammed. So here's an example output here. Relatively straightforward. There is a JSON job description schema as part of JSON resume, which I also created with a nice little builder. So you can have a title, company, location, salary, requirements, benefits, and then you just build it, and there we go. It's an object to work with. So what I want to do in this stream is walk through actually using this package in a useful sort of way. Now, JSON resume does actually have let me just log in with GitHub. It does have a registry over here, fetching my resume data. It has got stuff already, and I've filled mine out, and it all works. It's all fantastic. It's lovely. But I feel like it could be better. So I'm going to build something with Laravel. I recently joined the team over at JSON Resume as a maintainer, and I am going to be putting something together for fun. Hello, Nelson. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining, everybody. So I've got a Laravel application with Livewire, Flux, relatively standard stuff. And I'm just starting to put together everything that I'm going to want to use. So here's pages. I'm going to create a new page. We're going to call it home.blade.php because this is how I like to organize stuff. Let's just copy that into there. And I haven't used any real starter kit. What I've done for this instead is literally just standard Laravel, install Flux, install Livewire, set it all up. We are good to go. Now, this doesn't really have much going on, so I'm just going to copy that into there and delete that. CSS stuff is configured. Things are ready. Yeah, I know, right? So pages. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. So I was starting to design my own kind of schema for CV data. And then I was speaking to one of the maintainers over at the JSON specification. And it was like, there is this. It's not the most active, but it is a defined standard and has been for 10 years. I was like, well, That's a marketing issue right there. No one knows about it. So I thought I'd join and get started and start doing something with it. Flux is free. I have installed the pro version because I do have a license, which gives me access to additional components. A checkbox is new. Okay, pop over. Apparently that's new. Radio. Ooh. So yeah, I do have the pro version. I joined the kind of early access to get access to it because whatever Caleb does is going to be freaking awesome, basically. Now, I'm not sure what to do layout wise. Do I go for something simple like a sidebar, more of a top bar sort of thing? What do you guys think? Are you bored of seeing sidebar layouts like I am, or is it not quite, is it ready? Is it okay to still use it? It feels like everybody's doing sidebar layouts. But yeah, what I'm going to do, I'm going to come to this auth page and I'm just going to copy that. So what I want to do is come over to my views, pages. I'm going to create a directory called auth. And I'm going to create a login.blade.php. We're going to have a XLayout app, and we're just going to drop that in there. So now over in my roots, what I will probably do here is just reconfigure this because I hate all of the roots just being constrained to files in one place, and it just gets messy. Web console. So I can copy that into there, call it roots. Copy this into there and call that roots, which leaves me available to delete them. And then in here, I can create an auth.php. Use the root facade, root view, login, pages auth login, name, login. Like so. Then in web roots over here, I can do a root prefix auth as auth, group everything under a base path where the path is roots web auth. Right. So yeah, top bar looks okay actually. Like, look at this Kanban board, for example. Like, it's a standard header. So if you come to layouts, you've got the different headers. You've got headers like this, or you've got a sidebar with Flux. Now, sidebars are nice, but I feel like they're being overused by absolutely everything. It just feels wrong. Let me just do this, static function, void. There we go. Right, so let's do a quick root list. We have got some roots, lots of fluxy things going on here. Name home, then we've got pages, auth, login over there, which is fantastic. Yeah, exactly. That sidebar just makes it feel like it's an admin area, which is fine, but I'm not convinced. I'm not going to lie. I'm not convinced on it. We just close all of those. We're going to come over to our login like this. We'll just keep that there. Keep all of this for now. Separatory stuff. Heading. Welcome back. Continue with Google. Nope. Continue with GitHub. Yep. I'll keep that one. Then the separator can go. Then that can go. Subheading isn't actually needed. Welcome back. Continue with GitHub. And then this button, if you go have a look at the Flux button, for example, if you want it to be as a link, you just got to add a href to it, which is fine. I can do that. I can do that. So we're going to have a root pages auth plugin. So if I just open up that auth.php over here, root post login name, we are going to give this a login. So it should technically pick it up, but we're going to create a controller. Let's go make a controller quickly. HTTP controllers. We are going to go for an auth directory, and we are going to go for, tell you what, let's go for auth GitHub, and then we will create a, is that what I want? No, that's not what I want. Auth, we'll do a GitHub controller here. GitHub controller. Right, so now I need to go composer require Laravel Socialite, get that installed. That is business. So then we can have a public function handle redirect. That'll be a redirect response. Return Socialite driver GitHub redirect. Public function handle callback. This will also give us a redirect response. We'll work on that in a second. So use app HTTP controllers auth GitHub controller. And what we want to do is handle redirect like so. So then we get a root get. No, not there. We need a callback one somewhere. So I'm just going to come into here. I'm going to add all of my OAuth redirects in here for now. I might do some typing up at some point. Who knows? We'll declare some strict types. Pull in that, and we're going to have a root get. Okay, let's do this. Prefix GitHub as GitHub root static function void root get callback GitHub controller handle callback name callback. Awesome. And let's just do that. Inside roots, root prefix auth as auth group base path. The path is roots web auth. Awesome. Things are lining up. Now, I kind of feel like I need to move that. So let's say we're going to have a root get redirect auth. Here we go. Fantastic. So login needs to go to auth redirect. Sweet. Right. So config services, we need to have GitHub client ID. And our redirect. That should in theory work. There we go. We got it. We got it. We got it. Right. Okay. So we are on track. We are on track to be doing stuff. So we've got some login stuff going on. That'll eventually all line up. This controller isn't actually needed because I'm never going to be using it. So how can we go ahead and get our OAuth working to start with? So we're probably going to want some actions realistically. So let's create actions. I'm going to create an auth directory, and then we're going to create a new class, and we're going to call this one create or update GitHub user. And a little bit mouthy, but bear with. We're going to handle, and we're going to pass back a user. So before we actually do all of that, we need to slightly tweak these migrations. So let's just clean it up like so. Obviously ULID, because I like them. We're going to do that, and we are going to do that. So I don't need an email verified at or a password, but we do want that. We are going to add a soft deletes. So we've got a name, we've got an email, table, string, handle, also unique, table, string, avatar. We'll make that nullable. And we'll have a table string for the provider ID, which is also unique. Don't really need the remember token, but I've had issues removing that sometimes. And we'll also go table string provider. And what we'll do is quickly create a new directory for enums identity. We're going to add a provider enum. We're going to have that for now. Nice and simple. Nice and simple. So our provider is GitHub. We'll also add a role in here just because it's always useful to add in case you need it later on. So we're going to have an admin role and a member role. and we're going to have a table string role default role member. Done. Right, what we're also going to want is a table text access token, which is nullable. And I think that is it. So we've got like that. I'm going to make that text column like that. Put that down there. I think that should be most of what we want. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining. We are having a little bit of fun here. So let's foreign URL ID, index constraint to users table, and we'll cascade that. A little bit of cleanup on the sessions. Password resets isn't actually needed. So that is all good. Cache table, we will just keep as is. We'll just clean that up. And the jobs table, again, is absolutely fine as it is. So all of these things are all relatively default other than the user model, because we are going to be doing GitHub only login, which is, you know, something I like to do on these little projects. We're going to extend the factory for the user. The model is going to be that user class, which is going to be a class string of type user. Grab this and let's just do that. Password is no longer needed. Neither is that. But what we do have is this. So we've got our users table over here. And what we've got is these fields are going to need to match up to these fields. And that's not needed over there. So got a name and an email. We're going to have a handle, which is going to be this Baker unique username. Cool. And over here, we're just going to say this Faker. We don't need to make a new instance. We've already got it injected. This Faker. All of that's good. So name, email, handle, avatar. Let's just do that. Provider. We're just going to default to provider. GitHub role. We are going to say this Faker random element where the array is a role that comes out of there. So then we'll have a provider ID, an access token, remember token, blah, 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 all good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Right, okay, so I'm just going to delete all of that. And we're just going to go through it. Right, must verify email, not needed. Authenticatable, we've got user factory, that's fine. Use has UL IDs, yes. With fillable fields, we are going to have name, email, all of those basically. The hidden fields, we are going to want to hide the access token. And the casts are going to be what we got. We've got a provider. Is going to be one of the providers. Role is going to be a role. Access token is going to be encrypted. Yay! Right, so this is a array of string, class string. This is a list of strings. And then this is also a list of strings. So now up here, hello from Senegal. I always love it when people tell me where they're from because it's really interesting to kind of see where the community goes. If you're from anywhere useful. Oh, guarded. I am not team guarded, unfortunately. Really interesting for me just to see where people are from. If you're from anywhere in particular, drop it in the chat. Always interesting to see. That's avatar first. Provider, role, provider ID, and a property string null for that access token. Chester is super. I mean, I've been to Chester. It's nice. We're going to do a string null on that remember token. I don't think we're going to use that remember token, but we'll keep it there for now. We want the carbonate interface null for that created at, same for updated, and deleted at. So there we go. We've got our user pretty much set up there. We are going to migrate fresh. There we go, all done. And then we can go back and complete our action. So this is going to accept a socialite user of some sort. Socialite contract, where are you hiding? That one. As a user. And then we're going to go ahead and create it. So let's replace this one with an alias. Socialite user. And user contract. There we go. So we also need to pull in the database at this point because wrapping this in a transaction is useful. So we want that database manager as a database. So we can return this database transaction where the callback is user query update or create. We're going to attempt it maybe 3 times. Right, so the attributes we care about at this point, we're going to have this provider ID. So we're going to want to say user get ID. Also, provider is going to have to be obviously GitHub. So we can just say provider GitHub. And then the values. We're going to have a name. Name. We can just use name property there. Email is user email. Handle is user nickname. Avatar is that user avatar. What else have we got? What else do we need? Got provider ID. Then we want that access token, I guess. User. We got a token up there as well. So that should just about do it. This will, of course, do that. This could be throwable. And then this can be read-only, which means that in our GitHub controller over here, we can get that request. And we also want the create or update GitHub user as action. We can try the action handle where the user is socialite driver GitHub user. This will hopefully give us that user back. I'm going to catch anything that is throwable as an exception. And we actually, I might just let that bubble. I prefer to bubble with these things. And then we can come up here. Let's go to our constructor here. Public function construct private read only auth manager as auth. So then down here we can say this auth login user done. Return new redirect response. The URL is root pages home. So we're just going to do this to keep it quiet. And up here, we are going to also do that. It's all good. And that makes this. Oh, excited. Everything's working. Right, okay. So we got our login-y stuff going on. Creator updater user is working. Our controller is working. Our user model is all working. So now let's just click and hope, right? That's how we do this. Authorize me, yes. I am in. Right, so if I come over to here and I go open this in Table Plus, I come down to users. I have got me. Access token has been encrypted. Provider ID, role. Perfect. So now I can come over here. Let's go and start building out the actual UI a little bit more, right? So let's just close all that off. I've only been going for 30 minutes, so we're going to quickly be turning this around to be using the JSON resume stuff very soon. Okay, so that is all of that done. Components, app. I'm going to create a auth.blade. And I'm just going to copy that into there for now, because this app will change. So back to this. Let's just copy and install this. Okay, we are installing, we are done. So the way that this works is relatively simple, but obviously I want to kind of figure it out a little bit more. So the way the current registry works is that it will kind of work with a private guest. It'll let you view the public, which is currently having major issues, which is frustrating. But if I just grab all of that and copy it. So how should I do this? I feel like I should create like each part of the this. So we've got basics, we've got work, volunteer, education, awards, certificates, publications and skills, languages, interests and references and projects, meta stuff not useful. So I'm thinking like those should all have their own table so that you can kind of build it up in effect. That is like where my mind is going, which will be super useful. And I just noticed that we can't stream to X because I stopped paying for X because I'm not getting anything out of X anymore. It's like since Elon's taken over, it's just not worth using much. But then Blue Sky wants you to verify your identity. It's like it's not a porn site. It's a social app. Why am I verifying my ID? I'm not very keen on giving you that information, Mr. Blue Sky. Okay, so the way this current one works is it's got a form, you can fill it in, you can fill in all of these things, and it's great, it works, but I don't like it personally. It could be a little bit more polished. So what I am going to do is start by making a model called basic. Bam. Now, if we go to JSON resume getting started, let's look at the schema. We've got all of these things in the schema. So the way that I'm thinking here is that when you're applying for jobs, typically you don't just have the one CV, you have a CV for each type of work you might want to be doing. So let's take an example. I am a dev, I'm a developer relations person, but I've also been an engineering manager and CTO and those sorts of things. So what I would have when creating a CV is here's my developer CV, here's my developer relations CV, and here's my my engineering leadership CV. And depending on what I'm applying for, depends which CV I send them, because they've got to be tailored. It's not just one size fits all. Now, what JSON resume does is allow us to standardize the data, but we can put together different versions. So what I'm thinking here is our basics is part of that. So let me just zoom in. Zoomy. There we go. And then we can fix that whole file. Declare that as static. My Wi-Fi has been really bad recently, so if I do keep cutting out, I do apologize. It is summer holidays in the UK, and the internet is just gone to hell. I'm not going to lie. Right, so I'm going to need all of this basically. So we are going to want table string name, table string label. Like, what is your label? What do you want to be called? Email. Sometimes you have different email addresses based on CV. I'm going to say table string image there as well, but this I think is a nullable field. I'm going to go back and look at the spec later just to kind of put all this together. So table string URL, table string. I can't remember what summary needs to be. Location can be a JSON object, so JSON location, and then table JSON profiles. All of that can be covered by that, and that's relatively straightforward, right? So let's open up that basic factory, and within here I can extend the factory for the basic. And we are going to grab this. Right. Name. This faker name. Down the bottom, we will have our user ID. So we can say user factory. So let's just pop this over here. Label is going to be this faker job title. Awesome, we're getting somewhere. Right, image URL, email, we'll just do a safe URL, phone number, URL, summary, we're just going to do real text, location, profiles. Okay, so location needs an address. It needs all of this basically. So it's going to drop all of this into here. We're just going to update it to what we need it to be. I'm just going to, maybe I'll stick to everyone having the same address to start with on the factory. And we'll worry about that in a little bit. Right. Address. So country code. We know we've got a faker for country code. So we can say this faker country code. City. I believe we got one for that. This faker city. This faker, is it a zip or postal? Postcode, perfect. This faker address. This faker state, I believe, is one. Okay, then profiles are very different, right? Profiles, we're just going to have lots of different objects like this. We're just going to copy this for now. And the URL. There we go. That covers it. Fix all of that. There we go. Let's see if that works. Okay, so all of that is done. Let's go ahead and fill in these basics now. Simplify that. This use has ULIDs. We'll do some fillable fields here because this is going to be a list of strings. Name, label, image, blah, 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 all of that good stuff. Now we've got to work on our casts. String, class string for now. So what we're going to have here is the location is going to be as array object. Profiles can just be as a collection. Public function user belongs to return this belongs to the related user and the foreign key user ID. Okay. We are getting somewhere. Got a name. property string label, property string null for image, property string for email, string null for phone, URL, string null for summary, array object null for location, property collection, support collection null for browse. Property string for user ID, then we can go carbon interface created at updated that, then we're going to have a read-only user there. That is all of those done, and then we can say public function basics as many, return this as many, related is basic class, foreign is user ID. So we can go and say property read collection, int basic, basics. There we go. We have got stuff coming together. So that's kind of how this should work. So very quickly, a tinker. So user is app models user first. That's me, right? So then we can say app models basic factory for user big. Ooh, okay. Let's migrate it first. That'll help. There we go. So now if we come back to this, we've got basics, and there we go. We've got one user with one basic information for Twitter. We've got a summary and lots of stuff. Not super useful, I'm not going to lie. But we got some data to start working with. So, where to go from there? This is going to get messy. So let's come over to here, and I am just going to say, let's do this style. I quite like this style. We've got a header up here, mobile sidebar. Can we have docs, header? Right. Let's just grab all of that. Come over to our resources, views, components, app. So I don't think we need Livewire scripts or styles personally. I can never remember, I'm not going to lie. So I'm just going to drop that in there. Save it, come back and refresh. Ha ha ha. We got something. Okay, so let's just go over here and let's just budge everything over like that. So there's a header. There's a mobile sidebar. Here's a container for the main content of the page. I feel like this should be the slot. Yeah. In pages home. You can literally just go like that. Choose what to do within it. Yeah, so there we go. Okay, excellent. So now I am going to start walking through some of this. So, How should we do it? How should we do it? Oh, like, there's one thing I hate, right? And that is anywhere that I need to get like the current user, I've got to say auth user name like that, right? It's a pain. It's just not what I would typically think to do. But with Laravel.com docs, right? Oh, what are they called? There's like a way to share data with all views. Here we go. App service provider, view share, key value. View composers or callbacks of class members are called when a view is rendered. Excellent. This is what I want. Can I create a composer? View composer. Excellent. So app. We can make a view. Component command. No, I can't. Okay, so let's go ahead and just manually create these. So here's a view composer. And we're going to create one called a user composer. All it needs is like a compose method with a view like that, apparently. Let's just make sure we're pulling that in. So in our constructor, public function construct, what we want is a protected user as user. So this should be user like so. What we can actually do is use current user attribute there just to do this. So that in our controller, our service provider, we can just register it, right? And that will be in facade over there. Support. Okay, so I can just pull this in. Cool. That's handy. Inside boot. Inside this. I can do that. Let's just views all. There's a callback. We'll just do that. Awesome. So let's make sure we're not dying. Perfect. So then in here, I should just be able to say user handle. There we go. Fantastic. That worked. That worked. Okay, so what do I need from this point? So for now, let's load our basics. for now. So let's just do a quick UL here for each user basics as basic, and for each li basic. We're going to focus on just that bit, just the code, just the screen, because my face is slowing down the internet, apparently. So what I've done, I've just done a quick for each with the basics. That is a lot of queries. I don't know why it's doing that query so many times. We will have to look. Oh, it's because it's being pulled into every single view, isn't it? That's bad. That's awful. So what we actually need to do here is does that work? Hey, only do it in pages. That's a little bit nicer, right? Only actually inject it into a page, not into every single component. If we want to have it available in a component like this, then we can pass it in as a prop. Okay. Okie dokie. Right, okay, so at the minute, I'm just kind of looping over to jewelers. Not a big deal. What we will do, maybe we will have cards instead, or something. A flux card. What can we do within there? Class space y6. Then we're going to have something like this. Basic label basic URL for now. We'll just do something really simple and come back to it. There we go. We've got a jeweler. Okay, so that is working so far. So we've got to, this is our first basic that we have. That is cool. So what we can do from this point is like the resume PHP stuff. I think once we've built everything, so what we'd have at this point is let's make a provider. No, how should I do this? Like a view composer idea would work. So I've got the current user. this is what I might want to change. Because a key and a value. So I could like build a resume PHP object with the current user. And then I could say something like view with like resume. And I could say new resume builder. So if this is a key, then this is a value. So I could say this user load this thing basics. And if I go over to here for now, what I could do is let's just add this for now. So we could say basics. Let's import that. Let's import that, and the network. Let's just format that. Okay. So let's just keep it like that for now. So can I just do a quick giant dump on resume? There we go. So I've got basics, profiles, and location. So from here, what I can do is I hate that it does that. That's how I like it. Okay. So I could say for this user basics first name, like so. Like that feels like it's going to be messy, but we'll see. We will see. Email URL. I can't remember if location is nullable. Cool. Okay. Basic. First location. Cool. So then I could have address. Postal code. City. Postal code and region. Let's see if that works. So we are getting things. Fantastic. Then profiles can be a map of profiles. So map of array. Callback is going to be that, where we get an array for the profile. And we can just say new profile, where the network is. I'm just going to say GitHub for now, and we'll figure that out later. Username is profile username, and URL is profile URL. Ha ha ha. We are getting there. Okay. Property of a network will need to change, but we'll come to that. What's this doing? Fix whole file. There we go. Okay, so we've got that first. That's all of the basics, which then means we can build it like so. So then this will have everything that I need. There's a schema, there's basics, all of the things that we might want. After basics, we can then go ahead and do things like adding work. So let's go to registry, bus basics, location. Location is actually part of basics, so that's fine. So then it's work experience. Okay, so we can make a model called work, an MS, not like that. So this is what we need for work. For now, we are going to close the others. Come to our database, migrations, work table. So put that in there. So we're going to have a ULID for the ID as primary. We obviously need to table foreign ULID for the user ID, index, constrained to users, cascade on delete. Awesome. So table ring name, table ring position, table string summary, I believe is nullable. Then table JSON highlights. I'm going to make this text because I believe it should be longer. And then we can add some dates. So we've got a table date as starts at, and a table date as ends at, which is nullable. Awesome. That is that part. So now we can go to a work factory, stick this over there. Extend the factory for work. Our model is our work class string work and drop this in there. So far, so good. Really happy. I think it's getting there, right? It's getting there. Let's do that. So obviously the user is going to be user factory. So the name is going to be this faker company. The position is a job title. A summary is real text. Highlights is this faker. Optional paragraphs. That will give me an array, I believe. Yeah, array or string. Fantastic. 2 seconds. Fix my dodgy code. There we go. And then obviously there's a user. It starts at this faker date. We're going to call that start. Ends at yeah, it does now. There we go. Then this here can have has ULIDs. Fillable fields are going to be that casts as collection. Array string class string and a list of strings. Then we can go down and say public function user belongs to return this belongs to related user class based on the user ID. Property string for the ID, property string for the name, position, summary, highlights, user ID. I'm not 100% sure what a date will be cast as. I'm just going to go for a carbon interface. Updated that. Properly read user. Like so on our user like that. Public function works as many. Now, there we go. Return this as many related work class or user ID property reads collection int works. Fantastic. Migrate, Tinker, there's a user, app, models, work, factory, for user, count, 20, create, format on null. Okay, so let's make this a timestamp. Maybe that might be the issue. Let's migrate, roll back. Migrate, Tinker, user, format and null. Where is that coming from? That is the issue. There we go. And now if we come back over to here, works, we've got loads of different works. So user composer there. Okay, might have to look at how I build this. Because I can only add work one at a time. Maybe I got to resume equals new resume builder. Get that quickly. Resume basics. Basics is that. Reach basics and works. This user works as work. Resume add work. The work is a new work object. Then you can just go resume build like that. Grab them. So I could say work name, work position, start date is work starts at. So start date is a string to ISO string. Work ends at to ISO string. Work summary, and then highlights is work highlights to array. Don't know why that's moaning. Cool. So then if we come back to here and we okay, so to date string to array on null. So that highlights must be type array, null given. Okay, so highlights is actually needed. Work factory highlights not optional. App models work truncate. User done. There we go. Huh. We're getting somewhere, right? So now we've got work. We've got lots of different work objects, highlights, URL end date summary. Yeah, lots of different things that we could work with. Fantastic. And close up the tabs. So as you can see, the resume PHP is basically just a really nice way to build this sort of data up from a database. Like this obviously is something that I am going to change. For now, I will leave it as is. Let's go to home a second. I should be able to grab the resume. I think there's a way to do that, but I cannot remember. No. Laravel.com docs markdown strings. Okay, so I could do like a string of resume to markdown. See how that looks. Haha. So I can grab that. Do a flux separator. Variant subtle. Do a quick div. Voila. So there we go. We've got some markdown stuff. And yes, you could say like class pros. I don't think that's going to work because I need to include the Tailwind typography. So npm install Tailwind CSS. Tailwind CSS typography, I think it's called. Let's see if that works. But I can't quite remember. So npm is still doing its thing. We'll just leave it for a second. My internet really does suck right now. It's quite frustrating. The frustration is real. Obviously, all of this is going to eventually be some it isn't at. Hey, that was a lot quicker. Right, okay, so then that can be that. That can be reran. And this is now like that. What I'm going to quickly do is, let's have a look at dark mode a second. That's got all of that. Appearance. Let's just copy that into the header somewhere. Layout, app. Got an app item. Let's just remove that. Is there a nicer one? Let's just do that. There we go. Sorry about the light mode flash. Yeah, nice little bit of flux. So what we've got here is obviously all of that. So far, so good. Social profiles, GitHub, email stuff, website, location. Yeah, it's just using relatively standard stuff at this point. Obviously, all of this is going to need to be built. I'll probably build an action for that. But we've gone for almost an hour and a half so far. And what we have is a way to log in and a way to load resume PHP and the current user. That shouldn't actually be needed. Okay, my bad. There you go. Let's just double check those queries. Yep, still only 4 queries, which is fantastic. So we are getting somewhere. This will obviously all be replaced with, I don't know, resume. Something like build resume object for user, something like this. And we'll have a public function handle, which is going to return a resume builder, or just a resume. New resume builder, return resume build, like so. And then we're going to do lots of stuff within here. Obviously, we want to pass through a user. Like so, and then we can say user load missing basics works. And then what I would do is resume basics, that. I could probably just tap that on like so. User there, user. I don't have a short key for selecting all in PHP Storm yet. I've just never needed it. Nice Twitch spam. I love a bit of Twitch spam. Thank you. So kind. So kind. For each user works, blah, 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 resume build. And all of this can be removed. We can say private build resume object for user action. And then we can just say this, wow. In the keyboard, this action handle where the user is this user. Drop all of this for now. Clean it up. Refresh. It's now in an action, which means we've got one way to build all of it out together, and it's all good. Okay. Wow. That was a lot of running around in circles, right? But that's how you use a package. Nice and simple for each work as work. Then obviously the next thing would be like volunteer. So we can say make model there's volunteer stuff. Close all of that. What we want in volunteer is going to be really similar to work. Pint ULID, ID, primary, table, one ULID for user ID. We're going to index it. We're going to constrain it to the users table, and we will cascade as well. Drop all of that. So table, bring, organization, table, bring, position, table, bring, URL, nullable, table, text, summary, table, JSON highlights, apparently not nullable. And then again, starts ends at table timestamp and ends at. So all of that is very similar to the work factory. So we will just copy that for now. Extends factory volunteer. The model is that class bring volunteer. Let's just do that as a user. Awesome. Organization. Copy that and do that. And we can go the work model. We're just going to copy that, open up the volunteer one, replace it, but rename it with volunteer, and the name is going to be organization. Organization. That's not allowed to be null. Come over to the user. Public function volunteers, which means then I can come over here and do the same thing. Come to a terminal, migrate, tinker, get a user. App models, volunteer, factory, for user, count 10, create. Yeah. Volunteers, perfect. So then close all of that, come to this. We can load it in here as well. Volunteers, leave education for now. For each user volunteers as volunteer, resume, add volunteer. So, okay, so we've got organization, position, start date, end date, summary, highlights to array, URL, and I think that is it. Come back to here, refresh, work experience. Okay, volunteer stuff isn't being loaded right now, but that's not a big deal. Awesome, that is all that. Yeah, working on a Laravel is just so nice, right? After volunteer, we've got education. So a make model, education, MF. And again, that is relatively straightforward. If we just tidy this up, I think I could build something using filament for this quite nicely, actually. Table, foreign URL ID for the user ID, index, constrained for users, cascade. Obviously, we need that started table timestamp starts at and ends at nullable. So we've got those. Table string institution. Table string URL nullable. Table string area study type score and courses. So our education factory now can just be cleaned up. It's a model education class called. I was going to do that. Right. So education stuff, what we have is institution. We're just going to give it a company name for now. URL, area, study type, scores a random float. Why is that complaining? Fix that up. Cool. Score, courses, paragraphs, 3 paragraphs. Not as text. User ID is going to be user factory. Starts at, ends at, and moves that. There we go. I think we're doing okay there. Then there's education factory. We can do that. Use as ULIDs. Fillable. List of strings. Do all of that. And we're going to do cast. So we've got courses as collection. Starts at, ends at. This is an array with string, string, class string. We pick up these strings ID, and we will quickly do common interface. String on that. This is a string. So far, so good. Created that, updated that. But technically they are nullable. Properly read user as user, with the user, and we're going to add educations. Public function educations as many, return this as many, related education class, and a foreign key if you write it. Down here, property read, collection int education as educations. Migrate, print tinker. Get the user. App models, education, factory for our user. We'll do 3 of those, and we're going to create them. Education user. But we would public function user belongs to, and return this belongs to related user class user ID. Let's just, there we go. Go to a database, education, that is all there. Close all of that. Come to this bit. Let's see if we've got this over here. Add work, education, so we can just grab that. For each user, educations as education. We may add education. The education is a new education. That. area, study type, end date. Courses is education, courses to array. Awesome. And come back to here, see what dies. Bang. Okay. To array on null. Let's just do that. Must be of type array, no given. Do that for now. Not optional. Migrate, roll back. Migrate. Tinker. User. That. There we go. We got there. Here's some education stuff. So the only thing we've got to do here is this education level. We've got to work on education study type. This faker random element array. Education level cases. There we go. Ooh, my wife has brought me food. Education. We can just keyboard. Truncate that one. Join it like that. Create them again. Which means that this bit can be, if I come to education, casts, study type, not an array, but is education type, I think, or education level. So study type is that. Aha. So we got something. Other secondary, cool. Perfect. Oh, damn. That's working. That. What other parts of a schema are there right now? So there's award certificates, publications, and skills. There is a lot more to go into this. I am not going to have time to do that today because there's a lot of data. But as you can imagine, it's quite comprehensive. As you can see, it does build up a pretty full CV, and obviously, has he fixed this yet? At the minute, the job stuff is all being pulled from Hacker News Daily on this current one, but I'd probably look to do something else. We shall see. We shall see what we can do on that one. Obviously, I don't even know what this one does. But yeah, this is all built with like lots of JavaScripty stuff at the minute, and I'm quite keen to not build it with JavaScript and go from there. But yeah, that's where I got to. I think I'm going to probably push this up. So just go to github.new. Going to call this registry. Let's just open up that composer JSON. Let's just grab that like that. Create. And we will just push all of this up so it is visible. Right, where are we? Git status, git add, git commit -am, for starting project. Nope, not git push. Remote add origin. We're going to branch. Main and git push. Origin main. That is now up there. So you can go to juststeveking/registry and have a look at it, see how it's all been implemented, see how it's all working. Obviously, in the env example, I've got my client ID and GitHub redirect, just not the secret. So feel free to go ahead and change those as you need to. Yeah, it's getting there. It's a lot of fun. And what I probably am going to do is look to deploy this at some point onto Savala, which is where I host all things at the moment. So what I will do is I will come over to Savala. My internet connection is being poop again. While that's doing that, let's go have a look at this. There we go. Not GitLab, GitHub, wrong one. There we go. GitHub, GitLab. I don't use GitLab. I haven't used GitLab in years. Like GitLab was that thing that I used when clients told me I had to. Not so much anymore. Right. So if I come down to applications, I've got Threadit there. That's not been deployed, but we'll add a refresh repository list. And we're going to go for just Steve King registry. Main branch name. We're going to host this one in London. That's nearest me. What sort of size would I want to do it? Yeah, just a small one for now. And I am just going to go ahead and create this. I don't think I need to. Yeah, okay. Automatically deploy on commit. Create. Like so. That is going to create all of that. I can add connected services. So that could do stuff in a bit when needed. Quick worker, jobs, settings. Like if I go to settings here, nope, down to settings here, I can just update hibernation and say, yep, hibernate app. If it's not used for 5 minutes, then connect up some domains. If I want to, go ahead and create databases and object storage and then connect all of that and just chuck it up there. But for now, I'm just going to keep it as is, not going to deploy it until it's at a state where I'm happy. Obviously, I need to go update my github.com settings applications. I need to go ahead and update these. So my OAuth application developer settings, author apps, whichever one I called it within here is updated. Need to generate a new secret, basically. This one. And I will do that in a second. But thank you again for joining in. Thank you, as usual, for Savala for sponsoring my content, because without you, I would have to go get a real job and be a developer again. It's nice not to have to do that. I'm not going to lie. But stay awesome. Take care. I'm going to go carry on writing my book. See you next time.